as I've just actually noticed that the first new feature is that truck drivers have been replaced by a television set. There you go.
Oh God!
Wow,
I've
look at
been
that.
back in 2011.
Jesus, welcome,
Here's
mate.
another bug for you, but
Welcome,
folks.
welcome to Alpha 29.
Oh,
Look at that. He actually changes direction as he's walking and everything. Hello, mate.
hello, mate. Hello, mate. Happy New Year.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's a bit out of date, isn't it? It's end of
No, it's
January
not.
now.
Yes, but this is the first update of 2015 for us.
That's right.
So, and I think we did it last year as well. And you said the same thing last year. We're just old men with Alzheimer's, forgetting what went before.
Well,
We just do the
it's-
same old jokes.
So much time has passed since we started this process, hasn't it? You know?
It has indeed.
We're
Has indeed.
already 1/12 of the way through this year.
And I think I said the same thing last year. But January is a miserable bloody time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, isn't it? Isn't it? Which day is it that's the most miserable day of the entire year?
Well, there's two, right?
Ah,
We have gone past International Divorce Day,
right.
right? Which is the day that most people get divorced because they think like, oh, we'll give it one more Christmas. No, actually, you are a,
Yeah.
filthy pig and I don't want to live with you
No,
anymore.
you really did still cheat with that person.
That's right. I've had enough. I thought maybe Christmas would be great, but actually your mother-in-law's a terrible hag, etc., etc. So we've had that. And now we've got Suicide Day to look forward to.
Oh.
We've not quite gotten to that yet.
Oh, great. When's that?
I don't know when it is. And I don't know. I reckon it must move, right? The fact that there's, one day where everybody, the bell curve peaks can't be the case. The point is, it's a thoroughly miserable time of year.
Right.
So it's time for an announcement. We're going to finish Prison Architect in 2015.
Maybe.
I said it, mate.
He lied.
I said it. We're doing it.
What year did you
That's it.
say?
This is me this year. This is me committing us.
Wow. Really?
I'm not going to say when.
We just did. You said 2015.
Yeah, but I didn't mean like what quarter or what day. But it is me committing us, you,
Yeah.
to delivering.
That's really interesting because you're not actually a developer, right? Yes.
No, but I'm the producer.
You're not actually a programmer on this project.
No, but I'm the producer.
So how are you going to make this happen?
Have you seen Newsroom? I'm watching a lot of Newsroom.
Yeah,
at
I've
the
seen Newsroom. I love Newsroom.
Right, so you, right, are
Yeah.
Will McAvoy,
Great.
right, and I am Mackenzie McHale.
Both of those characters are significantly better looking than us, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Wow, that's
So,
that's a big
That's an
announcement.
announcement, isn't it?
Oh.
So, more announcements.
Another
right?
one.
Because we're going to launch in 2015. I phoned up and had lunch the other day with John Cook of Bad Management, our old agent, and I've charged John to try and find for us a retail partner and also maybe exploitation on the consoles, mate.
What day was Suicide Day again?
Mate, it's going to be better than Darwinian Plus if it happens. Don't worry.
Oh my god. You've just
Mate,
got a fucking Stockholm syndrome or something. You just can't.
You can't say all this. You have to pretend to be happy. Otherwise, the potential partners are going to listen to this and think they don't want to work with you.
You just. Alright.
Right, say something happy.
That sounds great.
Good. We'll put that in
I'll
the
get
edit.
my dev kit out.
We'll put that in the edit.
I think I left it somewhere in a fire. God.
Right.
Wow.
Next month, there's not going to be a huge amount in the PC Alpha.
Yes, I know about this one.
You know about this one, don't you? Because next month, you and Johnny, programmer, are going to have a little bit look at an iPad version of PA.
We're going.
mobile
We've
version.
decided that we're going to take a month out, me and Johnny, so it fits within our alpha schedule. So, and we're going to focus exclusively on the iPad version and see what we can do. See if we can get it into a decent shape. Certainly won't be finished by the end of February, but we should have something to show by the end of February, on video, I mean.
Yeah. In no way is this a commitment at all. We're just having a little experiment.
Yeah.
I think we need to make that very clear.
Yeah. But it does mean that the February alpha is going to be pretty light. We're not gonna do so many big things. So we'll see. Who knows whether we'll actually have that much at all in that alpha. But I think it's important. One of the things about the monthly schedule is that it's very difficult for us to find the time to do things like an iPad version, right? Because we're on contract to produce a new alpha every month. Effectively, we've committed ourselves. So by taking a month out, at least we keep it within the framework of the alpha process.
But anyway, January, what have we done?
Yes. Should we actually look at some features?
Let's look at some features.
Okay, let's do it. I'm going to load this prism. Okay, so I'll go straight in then with... Oh, it's not really straight in at this point, is it? Straight in with our first new feature.
Without further
ado, let's get straight on with a brand new feature.
10 minutes in now.
Truck drivers. I put truck drivers in last month. They're an effort to solve this problem.
The queuing problem.
The queuing problem of vehicles. A continuous problem that's plagued the game. And they do help, but they don't really solve the problem, to be honest. They just make it a little bit better. But now I've really solved it properly.
By replacing them with television sets?
No, I've replaced them with delivery zones that can run completely in parallel.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this delivery zone completely. And I'm actually going to move the garbage zone as well. Yep. And let's make a new delivery zone. Just for demonstration, I'm just going to put it here. It's going to go all the way down here, right? An enormous, big arse delivery zone.
Yep.
Like that, all right? And then we'll have garbage maybe down here or something. Here's a good spot for garbage.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that was a nice piece of green that we'll just take over
and use as garbage.
Turn it into a rubbish dump.
Exactly. So what happens now is once the cars stop for whatever reason, right? So that truck there stopped because the car in front was blocking it.
Yeah.
But you can see that every vehicle that is adjacent to the new delivery zone actually unloads simultaneously.
Okay. That's good. That's going to speed things up a lot, isn't it?
It actually makes an absolutely enormous difference.
Yeah.
Once you get a clear run and you get all the delivery trucks just lining up.
Yeah.
And then the workmen, for example, are much more efficient at unloading your delivery trucks.
Right.
And the same applies for export zones and garbage as well. You can actually parallelize them too.
Nice.
Yeah. As you can see, these guys are just so... Previously, they would have just been sat there, doing nothing the whole time.
That's right, waiting, twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah, but it's... you can clear... I mean, in this particular case, you could probably unload 4 or 5 trucks at once.
Yeah.
And it just sorts that problem out.
Brilliant.
All right. Nice. Let's have a look at some new room types, shall we?
Okay. Yeah.
I need to just... Let's build... I'm going to build a couple of new rooms. Buildings, I mean.
Yes.
Here we go. It's been a while since I've actually built anything in an alpha video.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Yeah, it's been more systems and how things are sort of flowing.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah, we don't always do like new rooms and things. We often do whole like new systems rather.
That's
than
right.
So look at that. Look how parallelized all that is. All those trucks. Just
it's nice. It's how it should be, isn't it?
Yeah, it works really well. It's nice. It's actually for someone like me strangely satisfying to see that queue unblocked. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, I was reading an article about this, and the fact that you've replaced truck drivers with televisions reminded me. It was a thing about driverless cars.
Oh yeah.
And the idea of cloud transportation, so that when they come in, driverless cars, we won't need to own our own cars. Obviously, some people will want to.
Yeah.
But and this guy, he was an economist, and he'd done an estimate, and there's something I can't remember what it is. There's something like 25 billion cars on the planet, or something ridiculous, right? And he estimated that there was going to be the requirement for a factor of 100 fewer cars on the road, because there'd just be like these little taxis always going from A to B. No car would ever be parked, you see, because cars are parked for all the time. But if they're just constantly running, and he was extrapolating it to talk about loading and unloading and construction vehicles and all these other things that we need. To keep the world going, currently being driven by people and being unused for certain amounts of time. All of that going away. And your little delivery bay there, your parallel delivery bay, just made me think about that. It's like a little microcosm.
Interesting idea. Interesting idea. Do you really think it's going to make that much of a difference to the number of cars? It's hard to tell. It's one of those generational things, isn't it? I can't imagine millions of Americans not owning cars.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, he's looking at some surveys and things that say that 70% of people would be happy if a driverless technology was proved to work. Would be happy using a driverless technology. Because a lot of people they driving is fun, but only in certain circumstances. Your morning commute is not fun. People would rather be sat in a driverless car watching breakfast news or whatever you watch in the morning and having a coffee and a pastry on the way to work because it would save them time.
Maybe. That's interesting. It's an interesting topic. I'd have to think a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure I believe him. Because there's buses and trains, and people hate buses and trains.
They're different things, though, aren't they? Because you're all crammed in, right? They don't get you from your house to your destination.
Yeah. But you're talking about this. You're talking about a mythical future where there are only driverless cars. You're going to get in a car, and it's going to have the unconscious body of some drunk on the floor, right? Who got in it when he got out of club.
No, it's not, because you're just going to order another car, aren't you? You wouldn't take a taxi that had.
Well, if it's a driverless car, then what I'm saying is that they're not going to be like wonderfully nice chauffeur-driven vehicles, are they? If they're going to be dirty city cars permanently in action.
Well, some of them will be, but equally, why not just have a little button that says this car is filthy and it goes off to the depot?
Maybe. Yeah, and you pay for you pay for various levels of service.
Yeah, you could do exactly. You could different size and things. Anyway, that's not about Prison Architect. That's about the next game. Imagine if we had a city simulator.
Oh, there you go.
If only
some sort of generator. Right. Let's talk about new rooms.
Yes.
Let's talk about the library.
Right.
So I'm going to create a library here. And this is a new room type that we've only just created. And in the library, I'm going to create some bookshelves.
Brilliant.
Like this. And maybe a bit like this. A bit like this. A little bit of layout variety.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to create a librarian's desk or two.
Brilliant.
Now, a library, like many of the other room types that exists, is a room in which prisoners work.
Yeah.
In fact, prisoners have to work in the library because you don't get tons of wonderful new books delivered to your prison. Right? What you get is, it's like in Shawshank Redemption. You get boxes of sundries and used books and discarded books and magazines.
That's
right. And so there's quite a big job involved sorting them.
All quite bland as well, I think, don't they? In some prisons, they try and remove anything that might be kind of inflammatory or.
Interesting, yeah.
Which I think is probably what most people would like to read, but it's all Mills and Boon, novels and romantic fiction and
Yeah, so let's go to prison labour and let's assign some prisoners to work in there.
Yeah.
There we go, there's our library. Now, what's going to happen is, if we take a look at the needs of our prison, we've got some new needs down here at the bottom. Literacy. Right, now, so a small number of your prisoners, typically the ones who are of an academic persuasion, similar people that tend to do very well at education courses and things like that, will entertain themselves by reading books, if you have the option available.
I was going to criticise you and say literacy is not a need, but I think you're sort of saying kind of intellectual stimulation, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. You remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? That
I do
thing that
remember
you invented.
Yeah, I didn't invent it. It would have been called Morris's hierarchy of needs, but Maslow invented it. It was just that I told you it's the way to build the prisoner model.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
and
I'm glad you finally admit that.
That's precisely what happened in your little mind, right? Yeah. In your little dreams, right? And at the top of that hierarchy, there was something with a very bad name, like self-actualization or self-improvement or something.
Right.
It's essentially reading isn't the same as watching television.
Yes.
There's something beyond it, which is about learning and being curious and entertaining the mind in a richer way than watching TV, for example. So
Introversion software, a public service broadcaster. Read more books, kids.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're a prisoner. Prisoners love reading books, right? They love it. So this guy is working in the prison right now. So you can see he's been sent a stack of books.
Yeah.
And he's gradually sorting them until they can actually be used.
Okay.
Let's have a look at my logistics. Yeah, there's only one guy working in there at the moment. There we go. Now it takes a little time for you to stock up your library. It doesn't immediately spring into action.
You can't just suddenly have a library, can you?
Yeah, exactly. Now, whilst that's underway, let's have a look at the other one, shall we?
Yes.
The other major room I want to look at is a chapel.
Okay.
Let's wander into some hot water.
Yes.
Head first.
I see you've used the Christian cross
Now,
to symbolise a chapel.
underneath the description it says, what happens when a bureaucratic committee gets together and designs a solution to inmates' religious needs? A multi-faith prayer room.
Yes.
That's what. But here we refer to it as chapel because multi-faith prayer room wouldn't have fitted into the space. But
Yes.
this is essentially, it is a compromise. It is the kind of compromise that
Yes.
you get in a prison. Right?
That's right.
There is no prison that has ever existed that has a mosque and a chapel and a
Yes.
synagogue side by side. They just don't exist. In
Yeah.
fact, actually, my nearby hospital, Addenbrooke's Hospital, has exactly that. It has a plaque on the outside that says multi-faith prayer room,
Yeah.
and inside it's a kind of weird hybrid. It's weird, It's
Yeah.
just like a weird mixture of all the faiths of the world.
All the different symbolisms and things.
Yeah, and every now and then a different religious leader will
Yes.
will do some outreach and will come out from wherever he's from and will deliver some kind of religious program.
See, as I very much admire the attempt, but what happens if you're a humanist, if you're an atheist, and you just want a quiet room to meditate in? They're excluded in a multi-faith prayer room, aren't they?
No, because the multi-faith prayer room does not state that you have to believe in any higher entity of any kind.
You think they're arguing that you're having faith that there is no entity?
Yeah, anyone can claim that.
Right.
So, what is it? I've got it, about a third of your prisoners have a spirituality need, which
Yeah.
can be satisfied in a chapel. You have to build some. You have to build an altar
Yeah.
inside, which is the place where the spiritual leader will generally stand.
Yeah.
You can build pews
Okay.
if you want to.
Very much in the
You can build prayer
Anglican,
mats.
Anglican tradition. Okay, now we're getting a bit more diverse. That's
Little bit
good.
of diversity here. Here we go. Now, the basics of just that will actually work to satisfy the spirituality needs of your prisoners.
Right.
So once it's been constructed, they will slowly start to use the room, and their spirituality need will be discharged just like all the rest.
Yeah. Now, I've always had a theory. The reason I've gone a little bit quiet is because I believe that cats are directly connected to Satan and also directly have a link to hell.
Right.
And that's when you can't find them. That's where they've gone, right? They've gone back to
I
hell
understand.
to receive instruction.
They've gone
And
through a portal.
my little black cat, who wasn't in my office when I walked in here and closed the door, teleported, opened her connection to hell,
Oh my God.
and then jumped up onto the keyboard at exactly the point at which you started talking about the chapel. So that's
Really?
why I might have been a little bit, yeah.
Wow. So she came through her portal into your room.
That's right.
Here we go. So we have our first
Oh,
prisoners
look at that.
praying in our.
Oh, Mitchell, take your sunglasses off. Show some respect. Let's assume that he's blind, or there's some other reason why
Yeah. In our
can't-
multi-faith prayer room.
That's right.
How's our library doing? So you can see gradually the prisoners have been sorting the books that have been coming in, and you see
Yeah,
our
yeah.
shelves are starting to get a little bit.
Brilliant. That's really
A few
good.
little
Yeah,
books
really
starting
nice.
to appear, and they will.
like that,
they will
yeah.
actually fill up all the way to full once
Yeah.
it takes a while. It takes a little while.
It's nice. I love the attention to detail. You see that attention to detail is why other people can't finish our projects for us.
Yeah.
Because other people would have had no books on the shelf,
Yeah.
and then at the point at which it was sorted, the bookshelf just would have spontaneously become full.
Yeah. Whereas we spent hours and hours working on varied ways to represent bookshelves, and we actually
That's
did.
right, and-
It's actually composited over multiple layers with different sprites put in. There's quite a lot of variety going on there.
Yeah, well done, mate. That's good. I like that. I think everybody likes that when they play our games. Attention
Yeah.
to detail.
Yeah. So what else can we do? Well, under reform programs, we have a new reform program called Spiritual Guidance.
Okay.
So what this means, let's start it up. Let's do a few. It's a program just like any other. It calls in
Yeah.
an external teacher, which will be a
Right.
spiritual leader from within the community.
Yeah.
A spiritual leader from the local community will lead them through prayers and instill a sense of calm amongst your prisoners. So what does this actually do? We spent a while trying to figure out what we're actually going to what is it going to mean for a prisoner to go to the chapel? It's like what difference is that going to have to say
What the hell is going on with that guy and his dog?
he's got a long leash? Look at
It's
that.
got a wall-penetrating leash.
That's impressive.
That's a bug.
Yeah. No, it's not.
That's
It's
what
fine. It's fine.
Oh, is it? Okay.
He's meant to wait, but he obviously couldn't be bothered.
Okay. He had somewhere to be.
It's not a bug, mate. It's a feature. It's a
feature.
It's a opportunity. That's what it is.
Good. So the spiritual leader comes in.
Right, let's have a look. Let's go around to 11 a.m. Let's get it happening.
Let's have a look at him.
So yeah, spiritual leaders. Let me make sure it's working. Here he comes. So who do we have? Whoa! Hello.
Hey, look at that. Yeah, that's good. He looks like a sort of a monk. He looks like a. I'm trying to think of which denomination.
I think he's from the Christian church.
Is he?
This is all the sprites of the game.
Oh, this is very cool, isn't it?
It's very cool, isn't it?
Not seen this before.
Here we go. Here they are. Here's our spiritual leaders. All right.
Oh, yes, yep.
Check those guys out.
They're really cool.
They are really cool, aren't they? Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so you get a random spiritual leader each time who comes in and does his thing.
So if any faiths feel that they're underrepresented in this group, let us know, and we will we'll attempt if we've missed anyone out.
Well, there was quite a lot of worldly religions. I mean, obviously there's no Jedi in here. That's one thing I've noticed.
Oh, why didn't you put a Jedi in?
Yeah. Now that I think about it, it's obvious.
We'll get a Jedi in.
A little bit of a contraband issue. Prisoners with lightsabers.
Well, Sikhs have daggers, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Ceremonial daggers.
They have ceremonial daggers that they're
I'm not
allowed
sure
to
they
carry.
would be allowed into the prison.
Well, do you know what? I bet you they would. It'd be interesting to look into that, wouldn't it?
Wow.
Find out what the how they manage that issue.
Yeah. So here we can see. So here is a
yes.
Here is a spiritual leader. I don't know what you giving a sermon. Is that?
Yes.
Can I say giving a sermon? Is that reasonably generic?
I think people know what they mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving spiritual instruction.
Exactly. So how does it actually work, right? So these guys that are in here, it does deal with their spirituality need, certainly. But what actually happens is it instills a sense of calm in your prisoners.
Yes, is that a status effect?
It gives a status effect to your prisoners who've been in one of these things.
Nice.
And that makes them significantly less likely to cause trouble for the next 12 hours or so, I think it is. Now,
that's good.
Beyond that, though, it actually has a radius effect. It has an area of effect, right? Because they become sort of emissaries in their own right, you know, because they've been to this wonderful spiritual event.
Right.
If they run into other people who are about to kick off or start a major fight, they actually help to talk that fight down.
A bit of a calming influence.
Yes, they calm it down a little bit. They bring it down, right? And so you can kind of, even though only maybe a third of your prisoners might be into this directly, they then go into your prison. And
is that too much, do you think? Is that, I mean, if a third of your prisoners are doing this, having their calming effect,
it doesn't last for very long.
No, it's okay.
Because there's only a handful of places in here, right? I mean, you've got 292 prisoners.
Right.
There's only a handful of places in the chapel, so it's not that many people that are going to have this effect.
Okay.
But it's just a general calming effect on your prison. So libraries, the way that libraries work is once they've become stocked up, then once you've got some books on the shelves, prisoners that have that need will come to the library now and then and borrow books.
Yep.
And they'll take them all around the prison. It's really quite nice, actually. They'll take them to their canteen, they'll take them back to their cell, and they'll just kind of sit there reading.
Yep.
Hopefully we can see an example of that once I've let it run for a bit.
Now, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Contraband.
Let's have a look.
Is it a distribution?
Currently, you can get scissors from the library.
Do people put drugs in books?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course they do. Any other any incoming delivery of anything. Can contain contraband.
So it is a source of contraband.
So the library, because it's such a meeting place for people.
Yes, will be a hotspot.
A hotspot. So you'll have to deal with that. And there is a throughput of books as well. Every time a book goes around the cycle, when a book is returned to the library, it goes back into the unsorted boxes.
Right.
And it has to be sorted back into the shelves again.
Right.
And there's a loss rate. Right. There's a certain percentage loss rate amongst your books, whether they're just thrown away.
Yeah.
So there's always an incoming need for more books.
Right, that's good. It's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at another new room type. Parole room. Now this parole remains one of the big conspicuous by its absence features of the game. You know?
Yes.
Every prison has parole.
This was one of the big parts of the game that we hadn't tackled.
Yes. Why hadn't we tackled parole before?
Because it's hard.
Because it's very hard. And we spent a long time trying to figure out...
Head scratching.
Like, what kind of mini-game are we going to make the player play in order to determine when his prisoners are released? You know, how are you going to get, you know, the pop-up on screen, do you wish to parole this prisoner? And, you know, and you have to look at his bio. There's a guy with a book. See? He's borrowed a book.
Oh, yeah, have a little read.
And he'll take it back to his cell or somewhere. You know, so, like, I imagined it originally that, like, the warden would have a say and the chief would have a say and you would have a say and it would pop up on screen and you have to decide and you have to look at their bio like this and you would say, are you going to reoffend or not? You know, not entirely sure. And then decide whether they're paroled or not. And I could never make it work. None of it. It was never...
Just didn't come together.
It's not that sort of game, right?
Yeah.
You just don't micromanage on that level. You don't really, in a prison this size, you don't know who any of your prisoners are.
Right.
And you never will. You're never going to know who 264 prisoners are.
That's right.
It's a process, right? You always control the process.
Yeah.
You set policy at the high level.
That's right.
So, let's set policy at the high level.
Yes, let's.
Let's go into our reform programs. Now that we've built a parole room, well, it's in progress. You only need one thing in a parole room, which is a visitation table.
Right.
And you, in the parole programs, in the programs list, you'll find a new one, parole hearing.
Ooh.
A successful release. So what happens now is that every prisoner is eligible for parole after 50% of their sentence.
Right.
And then again, 75% of their sentence.
Right.
And it occurs in a parole room. So, you know, you can click on any prisoner, it always tells you how far through his sentence is. Once they tick over 50%, they come up for parole.
Right.
I forgot to start the program. Start it. So I need to wait for that to be built.
Here he comes.
All right. We've actually got 84 prisoners currently awaiting parole, so they're going like, come on!
That's probably not unreasonable, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
We've had no parole program
just as
running.
we were talking there, I realised that needs to contribute to your global temperature.
Yeah.
Prisoners who are late for their parole hearing because you
Absolutely.
haven't gotten around to doing it yet.
Yeah, make a little note of that.
All right, so let's actually get parole up and running, shall we?
Yep.
So what we have to do is we start the parole hearing program.
Right.
And it's led by the warden. Right?
Okay.
And the other participants are the chief.
Yeah.
And your prisoner who's up for parole.
Course.
And your prisoner's lawyer.
Okay.
Right. So they all come into the parole room.
Yeah.
And they all sit round. A little bit of trouble going on there, I can hear in the background. They all sit round and do their parole thing. Now.
Right.
How does it actually determine if they will be paroled? Well, in keeping with what I was saying earlier, in the policy window, there's now a parole policy. Parole cut-off.
Yes.
If a prisoner has a reoffending rate... Let me just put a stop to all this. Right. If a prisoner has a reoffending rate less than this value, they will be released at the end of their parole hearing.
Okay.
Right? So it's based on their calculated reoffending chance. So if we look at a random prisoner, like this dude... under their grading, you know, there's always been an estimated reoffending chance.
That's right.
Which you can directly influence through the mediums of punishment and reform and security and health.
Yes.
And, you know, if he's a raving lunatic and he has a high reoffending chance, there's no way he's ever going to be granted parole.
Right.
But if he's been doing fine, I can't find anyone currently who has no chance of being paroled.
Well, that was quite small. That was 15%, that guy.
So 62%. This guy would not be paroled, right?
Yeah.
Because he has a high estimated reoffending chance.
Yeah.
There we go. There's old Bennett.
Yeah.
Undergoing his parole hearing. There's the chief. Don't know where his lawyer is. It's late, as always.
Yeah.
Lawyers. Tisk. And so by adjusting this slider, you can quite radically alter.
I see.
What result you get. Now, why would you want to?
That's right. Why would you want to?
Well, if you... Right now there's a simple implementation. If you parole somebody early and they don't reoffend, you're given a bonus,
Okay.
cash bonus, $3,000, I believe.
Okay.
If you parole them early and they do reoffend, you are fined
Okay.
$10,000.
Nice. Nice.
So there's a little bit of a challenge there to
Bias.
figure out which way around it goes. However, if they're released, there's no trouble. If their parole is denied, it has been known for a prisoner to become upset
Yep.
at the certainty of facing 15 more years
That's right.
in jail,
That's
for
right.
example. And sometimes, depending on who they are and depending on their character and so on, they might attack who's in the room.
Right. Right.
They might punch the warden, for example, and
Yeah.
you could have some trouble in there. And it can be a bit nasty because Leander, bless him, put in a new failure condition whereby if 3 wardens die in your prison, you're fired.
Right. Right. Okay. That's cool.
So,
I like it.
Yeah, so you can put more guards in here if you want.
Yeah,
You can put armed guards in here if you want to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's up to you how you deal with that threat. But so you've got kind of upwards and downwards pressures there. You know.
Yeah,
You've got. And when they leave, even if they don't cause a fight, they will be very, very angry
That's right.
for a
They'll
long
be angry
time.
and volatile.
For
Yeah.
the next 24 hours or so, they're going to be really pissed off.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're just ramming people through the parole room saying no, 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 no to everyone
Yeah.
in order to avoid the fines, you're going to get loads of trouble in your
Lots
prison.
of riots.
Right?
So when you say if they reoffend, if they don't reoffend, how is that worked out? Is that just a dice roll?
It's a little bit of a dice roll based on their reoffending rate.
Right. Okay.
This reoffending chance, I'm probably it's a little bit of an inner secret. This is a fairly accurate estimate of their reoffending chance, right?
Right.
It isn't like there isn't like a layer of uncertainty in this number as presented to the player.
Yeah. Okay.
This is actually the number as calculated by the game,
yeah.
shown to the player in their
And the
thing.
game has perfect information, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Because I did. Why would you want to just obfuscate?
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Why would you want to?
So literally, the guy's paroled. The game then says, right, give me a 45% chance of an offence
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And if the guy does offend at that point, the fine or the bonus is immediately applied. Is that how it
It
works?
actually happens immediately as soon as they leave the prison.
Okay. Okay.
We had a time delay in it for a while, but the thing is, you don't get that feedback, you know.
That immediacy. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a fallacy in the real world.
Yeah. You'd
But
have
you
to
know,
wait.
but the thing is, this grading screen that shows you how many people have left and what the reoffending rate, this updates immediately as soon as they leave the prison,
okay.
and always
Okay.
has. And of course, when they leave your prison, the decision is made, and that immediately affects your reoffending rate. So in the grading screen, you can see there's a new box that says paroled early and reoffended.
Yeah.
Because they get their own separate box so that you can
Okay.
monitor how many of them are reoffending.
Yeah.
The theory is, as they come to your prison, as they spend time in your prison, their reoffending chance should decrease over time. Their reoffending rate, if you've built a good prison, an effective prison,
Yeah.
their reoffending rate when they leave should be significantly lower than their reoffending rate when they arrive.
Yes. Yes.
And so you should be able to beat the system.
yeah. Yeah.
But you know, it's all things to play with. So that's paroled out with.
Good.
I was looking good, isn't it?
Yeah. It's looking good.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so as it beds in, you should start to see more and more prisoners just sitting around reading books in their cells,
Yeah.
books
Yeah.
on their beds, all kinds of stuff like that. And you should see those new needs are both down here, spirituality and literacy.
Nice.
There you go. So that, I think that's Alpha 29.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
What a nice alpha, eh?
That's really good. That's really good. If you're new to Prison Architect, you can buy it from us at prison-architect.com, or you can get it from Steam. Join in. We are going to be finishing in 2015, so there's not a huge amount of time left to become part of the process of making a video game. Hope you've enjoyed the alpha, and we will see you all next month. Mate, you can't just say that we don't want to do a console version for Prison Architect, right? You
Yeah.
can't just say, we can't say to John, go and find us a console deal,
Yeah.
and then you be like, nah, this is a load of shit.
Just don't watch the Alpha 29 video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, it's because it's Darwinia Plus, man. It's because it still burns, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It still stings. I mean, it was such a it really was such a disaster project for us, wasn't it, Darwinia Plus?
It was. Yes, it was. I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. I just think that just because one project went catastrophically wrong in the past, that doesn't mean that there's not a different way of structuring the project, right? I mean, like, I don't think we should do it. Obviously, we're going to have some oversight of what happens, but I don't want us to be having dev kits and things.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess the deal would be completely different this time.
Yeah, of course it would, because, neither you nor I want to go back down the route that we went down before. I don't want to commit us to another 5 years of PA development for a console, you know?
Well, that's what happened, isn't it, with Darwinia last time?
Yeah.
We spent 3 years on Darwinia, and then we spent another 4 years on developing Darwinia ourselves for the consoles. I think it was the mistaken impression that, well, you certainly were convinced, weren't you, that the whole indie world was going to move to Xbox and never come back.
It wasn't that so much. It was that there was a fixed cap of how much we could make on PC, and that wasn't enough at the time for us to carry on, so we needed to find other markets. And the other thing that I was genuinely convinced of is I thought it would take us 6 months.
Yeah.
That's what I genuinely did think that,
Yeah, well, I thought Prison Architect would take 3 months. So
exactly.
That goes to show.
Yeah, I mean, and we've learned, haven't we? We've learned that Introversion cannot do a console port in 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is that we've done other projects where people have done work for us external to Introversion, and as long as we have like the kind of like the oversight of them in the company, they've worked out in the past.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why that couldn't happen again. I think Darwinia was not actually that great a fit for the console.
Yeah.
For technical reasons, obviously, because like it needed multiplayer, and also just because the controls of the game really we always struggled, didn't we, with mapping it.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be nearly as bad with Prison Architect.
No. I mean, the end results with Darwinia Plus were really good. That's also the kick in the teeth for me. I think we did a really good job on that game, and the controls felt really good and it played really well. It missed its mark. But it's not that I'm on some kind of crusade to undo the terrible evil that I did. I'll take it to my grave.
Yeah, exactly. We can still do it. We can still rescue Darwinia.
That's right.
It can still be saved.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.